Hi, Scorpios. I'm so thrilled to sit down with you. I'm filming this just after your season started, and it feels really good to be in Scorpio energy. It feels really good to dive into your energy. There's something comforting about getting to spend time in your depth and your vision. And speaking of vision, as I was sitting down to think about your season, and so much of it happens in November, the notes that were coming up for you for the November reading were pretty profound and I think really important. They've been building on this theme that we've been having with you over the last few months of you honoring your way over, how other people think you need to be, how pressures that you put on yourself. And there's something really cool about November in the fact that there is a restart energy. That's partially because, this year has been so much about retrogrades. It has been so much about these major planetary shifts. And, as we head into November, we have the Venus retrograde in Libra for the first half of the month. And then on November 16th, when she goes direct, Mercury goes retrograde in Sagittarius, your second house. So the whole month has a special retrograde with it the whole time. But I'm a big fan of retrogrades because they give you the time to integrate. They give you the time to get a fresh pair of eyes. And you guys especially are working with that right now. I think the Venus retrograde started that journey for you when it was in your sign, especially back in October. It was helping you get that fresh vision of yourself. That's continuing in November because the note that came up is you will be noticing what is not your patterning, but was something that was given to you, put on you, ingrained in you from different scenarios, different relationships, different points in your life, different ways of surviving. We often live in these fairy tales of who we are and what our identity is. And sometimes the little character details or how we pursue life or where we feel that there is something of danger or of value is actually not our own, right? There are times when we get some kind of mythology. Somebody says something to us when we're 5 years old, a relative or a parent, and we never really let it go. And that's what's coming up in November for you guys. There's this sense that what used to feel like it was so true and it was just something you didn't even have to worry about is no longer serving you. I'm looking at the note as I actually wrote it because it says, pay attention to what is old patterning, other people's fear and pain, not yours. I think you take on so much. The thing with you guys is you have an interesting energy, right? Because you're a fixed sign, so you have this loyalty, this integrity. You're also water, which means that you've got the depth of feeling. You're very empathic people in general. 9 of Pentacles popped out. Very nice, you guys. Yeah, I like that. The Lovers. Ooh. Wow. All right, you guys. I like that. I like that. That's connecting with this Gemini full moon that we will be having on the 23rd of this month. But, you guys take on a lot. You take a lot on your shoulders. And I think sometimes it gets a little confusing. What is actually yours? What is yours and what is somebody else's? And this month, there's something really profound about you being able to figure out which is which. 10 of Swords. There you go. There you go. Done. You can wash your hands of all those swords. That's a bit of a mixed metaphor, but I think you know what I mean there. New beginnings abound. There are 3 aspects that really make me think about this. First of all, we have this new moon in your sign. Smack dab in the middle of your sign. It happens on November 7th. That fresh beginning energy. It's such a beautiful thing during your birthday season, during your energy season. you get that new moon. And it's such a great time to kind of take a soul bath. And as I said that, the moon popped out. Take a soul bath. Release any old ways of seeing and doing. Take a breath and give yourself that ability to move forward with clear, fresh eyes. So that's one. We also have Jupiter moving into Sagittarius on November 8th, so the day after this new moon. And that's in your second house, and I think that's going to be really beautiful. First of all, Jupiter has been with you guys, really intensely magnifying you and putting you on the spot in a lot of ways and putting some pressure on you, I think. It's not a natural placement for you. Three of Pentacles, Queen of Swords. Nice. It's not necessarily a natural placement for you. So it's been a little bit of an interesting journey, I think, for you guys to have Jupiter hanging with you. It's moving home to Sagittarius, and that is going to be a beautiful thing. First of all, obviously, Jupiter being in its home sign, it flows for everybody then. And for you, it highlights this second house of like money and material and finance and the more practical side of things. And I think you might find this very supportive of you moving forward on some big projects. King of Swords, okay, you got some air sign energy popping up here, which you often do. You guys, you get connected with those air sign energies, my goodness. But so that's another one. And then also we have this Gemini full moon at 0 degrees of Gemini near the end of the month. And that full moon is intense for you. Gemini energy for you represents your 8th house of transformation, which is what you rule. So you're already into this game, but as you can see, you have a new moon in your sign, you have a full moon in your 8th house, and this happens, every November basically. But it's for you, the fresh start energy is so real and intense. My goodness. I'm dropping cards. Wheel of Fortune popped out. Okay, so let's talk through what I have here on cards, because it's beautiful and it's a mixed bag. And that's partially because we're doing this cha-cha, that's what I've been calling it this month, between moving forward, having Jupiter going forward. I believe Neptune is going direct at the end of the month. We have Mars moving into Pisces in the middle of the month. We have all this directional energy. And then we also have the Venus retrograde. When we have the Mercury retrograde in Sag, even though Jupiter has now moved forward into Sag. And so there's a bit of this like big growth, big expansion, and then also no, let's pull in and be a little secretive, be a little bit about our healing, be a little bit under the surface about things. And generally I'm suggesting that people just take their time with this month and not push so hard to have everything done and externalized on the surface, and be much more attuned to what's going on internally. And especially for you guys, I think Scorpio birthday season is always an interesting time for you guys, because while some of you, I think, probably crave the excitement and the fun of a big party, I think a lot of you also experience it as a time where you want to attract and you want to take some time for yourself. Let's talk through these cards though. I mean, right out of the way, right out of the gate, 9 of Pentacles. Now, I do think this is that Jupiter and Sagittarius energy. I think it's going to feel really good. I honestly think you guys will feel a little bit of relief. The other cool thing that's happening this month is the North Node of the Moon is going to be finishing up her transit in Leo and moving back into Cancer, which is a sister sign, water sign, 9th house energy, right? Expansive energy. That's going to flow so well with you. The moon's going to be doing all sorts of cool, nice things with you this month that I think will really work with you. And I think you're going to feel a bit of a peace of mind. There's something about you feeling maybe a little bit more calm about everything, even things that aren't sorted out, even things that are left with a lot of questions, a lot of unknowns, a lot of unanswered things. There's a calm here to start the month out. And maybe it's just that, you are able to kind of get a sense of the lay of the land, but there's a lot of support here too. So I feel like this is very internal though, this is kind of a home fire kind of energy where you kind of take, you kind of go inward and you hang with yourself. Because here's the thing, you guys, when I look at these three right here, these next three, I see a lot of growth. I see a lot of freeing up of energy. However, these are tricky energies, and they play on a dualism. They play on that double-edged sword concept, right? Because we have to think about where we get attached to things, where we get attached to mental spaces, relationships, ideas of things, dreams of things, concepts of things, and where they're actually serving us, right? So part of the reason I'm feeling kind of that you guys are going to be working a little bit more behind the scenes this month, which you guys always are. People don't know that you're working behind the scenes. They think you're just rolling along, being fun, being entertaining, and mesmerizing and all of that. They have no idea. Most people have no idea when they're like hanging out with a Scorpio in a work environment or any kind of environment that those Scorpios are paying attention to things, that they are working through some deep shit, and you'll never hear about it, right? So I already know you guys, you do that anyway. But this month is especially poignant. Really, you guys, please be gentle with yourselves. Please be gentle with yourselves when it comes to this energy, because it's important. It's so freaking cool that you'll be doing this, and it's so great and liberating to have this energy with you, right? Because the Lovers is beautiful, right? I mean, how can we argue with the Lovers? It's, and once again, that Gemini full moon is pinging at me as I'm looking at these. I'm thinking that full moon could be very interesting for you at the end of the month, so keep that in mind. But what I'm seeing here, yes, the Lovers is beautiful, but it can also be that intertwined energy where it's so mirrory, it mirrors back to you. It mirrors back to you things that old patterning, old ways of doing things. It can feel codependent even. It can feel like this self-fulfilling prophecy, like this engine that turns over and over and over and over and over again. It almost repeats things over and over and over again. Once again, with this Venus retrograde, even though it's moved on to Libra at this point, Venus is still hanging close by you guys. She's going to be coming back to meet you guys later in the month. She'll come back moving forward. But, you know, the Venus retrograde is working at our relationships and how we're connecting with people. You guys are no exception, right? And so there's something going on with that, with where you feel you have to play a role, with where you feel you have to fulfill something for somebody else, with where you have to feel that you have to hold something for somebody else, or vice versa. Maybe you feel that somebody else has to hold something for you, right? Like, this is where we're parsing through. What is your pain? What is your patterning? And what is patterning that somebody's put on you or that you've adopted because they've told you that that's the patterning? We've talked about it before, that a lot of times Scorpio kids go through a pretty tough time in their life when they're kids. At some point, somebody will tell them they can't be the way that they are. That kind of patterning is coming up here. But it's time to let it go, seriously, because the Ten of Swords, yes, people like to say, oh, it's the backstabbing card. And I guess that's one way it can manifest if you're wanting to learn via that way, right? If you're wanting to close out a cycle, we sometimes experience it as a backstabbing, as a betrayal of some kind. And that's a really clear, precise, manifested way of seeing it played out so that we can close out an old cycle. But Ten of Swords is a closeout. It is a freeing card. You are no longer stuck in this body, in this life, in this way, right? Like, that's not the most hopeful way of putting it, but that's basically what this is. It's telling you you've got to give this up, right? Simultaneously, this moon here. The moon is beautiful, right? This is our secret internal side, and I think you guys are going to be diving deep into the moon energy. The moon can also keep you trapped for a very long time because you start to feel that it is the only reality and that it is the best reality and that you can just stay kind of floating through these deep, dark woods forever and ever. But what I'm telling you about this whole letting go of old patterning is that we don't want to stay here mourning it forever and ever. It's not a mournful energy. What we want to do is we just want to parse through, oh, that's not mine. Okay, cool. Like, that can go. You know, I kind of like the idea for you guys of imagining rooms in your house, right? Where, you know, and each of these rooms has a different character, a different flavor, a different style. And they hold different parts of your mythology in your life. Go into those rooms and check in with what part of those mythologies feel joyful and feel connected to you, feel connected to who you are as a being, and what parts just feel heavy and clunky and like they don't serve you at all anymore. And close those rooms out. light a fire and set them on fire, get rid of them, because it's time to move forward. And that's where the next 4 cards are taking us in this conversation today. Look at this, babes. 3 of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, King of Swords, Wheel of Fortune. Now, yes, you might have some air signs hanging around you guys. You've got a lot of air energy in this reading. And there's something about you guys bringing in these air signs. I think it's because you guys are so intelligent, and air signs like to talk ideas and they like to get movement, and you guys are kind of like, okay, cool, we can talk, and then that can be really draining for you. But I think that these 2 energies are representing something else that's going on with the Scorpio clan. And that is something that has to do once again with parsing between what is yours to hold on your shoulders and what is not, right? Because here's the first thing. 3 of Pentacles is a really strong energy for November, because what's working through these retrogrades continues to work, and it continues to be refined, and it continues to get stronger and stronger and stronger. You guys have some very good grounded energy in this reading that tells me when it comes to your foundation, things are good. Opportunities are coming in. Once again, Jupiter in Sag is going to be fantastic for Scorpios. I think you're going to really enjoy that transit for the next year. I think you're also going to enjoy that North Node in Cancer. And it's going to give you a sense of well-being and flow when it comes to your projects and your missions in life. Now, underneath the surface, you've got this big new assignment. It's not new. This big assignment of really just letting it go. And that's where these sword wielders come in really handy. Queen of Swords is the perfect boundary drawer. I think it's Brene Brown that says, somebody with healthy boundaries will show you where the door is and tell you and will allow you to enter when they decide. And that's a really terrible paraphrasing. I wish I could find that. But, the Queen of Swords clears out clutter. And she can come off as harsh. She can come off as kind of intense. But when she's showing up, the symbolism there is she values her time and her energy, and she's just not going to put up with painful scenarios or painful people or painful programming or people putting identities on you that aren't yours. She's just not going to do it, right? Same thing with the King of Swords. The King of Swords wants there to be rational balance to the whole thing. He's not looking for things to be all out of order and amiss and wild. He's just like, does this make sense or not? Does this work in my life or not? Why am I still doing this thing if I don't even like it anymore? Am I doing it because I feel that if I stop doing it, I'm going to lose the approval of my community or my family or my partner or somebody that means a lot to me? Because once again, you guys are extremely loyal people, and you will do your best to give what you can to the people that have made it on your special short list of people you love. And sometimes you self-betray a little bit. And it happens really subtly, but what are you doing that's working for you? And what are you doing just because you want to keep the peace and you want to let people keep having an idea of you? In the end, you don't need to do that for other people, because here's your final card, Wheel of Fortune. And this is heavy hitting. I'm almost going to cry. Because it's the knock on the door. It's the invitation. It goes hand in hand with this guy right here, the Ten of Swords. Opportunities are starting to show up for you. They do require you shedding other people's pain and expectations of you. People feel safe when they feel like they have their Scorpios in check somehow, or like, you guys are so solid in your loyalties and focus that sometimes people start to rely on you guys for that point of reference in their okayness. That you're the point of reference. And because you guys care, you end up being like, okay, I'll be your point of reference, I guess. But the Wheel of Fortune, whatever's coming in for you here, my loves, it is saying you can't take up this opportunity and keep being somebody's point of reference. I mean, it's not that those are mutually exclusive. It's just this feeling I have with you guys that something's opening up here and it's a choice. There's a fork in the road. And the choice to move forward into this new territory is a really good one. I can tell you that this new beginning, this shift, these fresh eyes, all the energy that's working with you to give you those fresh eyes, including Mars and Pisces, which moving into Pisces in the middle of the month, which will really highlight your creative heart center and give you that directional focus of putting yourself out there, making your mark in the world, putting yourself on the map. I think you all want to do that. You all want to strive for something bigger and greater and deeper. And a lot of you have been having callings of that. You've been holding back a little bit because you don't want to disappoint the mythology of yourself, disappoint others, everything we've been talking about today. But it's really important that you do. It's really important that you stay true to yourself and that you listen in to where you are holding a certain baseline for people that isn't necessarily your job. You know, you can't do that work for everybody else. They've got to do their own digging. They've got to find their own passions. They've got to find their own ways to work through existence, you know? Just because you guys are kind of good at that. Yeah. That's what I'm going to say. That's where I'm going to leave it. I love you guys so much. I hope your birthdays are just gorgeous. What a special time of year. Whether you're in Northern or Southern Hemisphere, this is just a special, transitional, gorgeous time of year with a lot of magic in the air. I will leave the Venus Retrograde Vimeo toolkit for anybody interested in that, as well as the Venus Retrograde just general overarching video, because we do still have another couple of weeks of that at the beginning of this month. I also leave my website, my email, and everything that you would need to get in touch with me for private sessions. I love working with my lovely Scorps. And I will also follow me on Instagram at @SARAHTAROT. I would love to see you guys there. I'll also leave PinkLune's gorgeous link below with a 15% off. She's amazing and so lucky to have her in my life. And I will see you guys in December for more investigation into what this becoming is becoming. And thanks for sitting here with me, you guys. I love you.